New York-based venture capital firm Forum Ventures is betting on Toronto to be a big name in the AI scene. That's why it's built an AI venture studio in Toronto. And here to shed more light on how its investment on Toronto is paying off is managing partner for Forum Ventures, Jonah Midanik. Jonah, thank you very much for joining us. You guys have been here a while, and now you're adding on. What will you be bringing here with this new forum, or with this the new studio, venture studio?
Well, we're betting big on Toronto as the spot to build the next generation of great artificial intelligence companies that span North America. The goal is to build more international champions right here out of Toronto.
And why is that? Why Toronto? You have New York, you have Silicon Valley. What does Toronto bring into that little triangle there?
The short answer is talent, technical talent. Forum Ventures is lucky. We're based in New York. We were born in the Valley. But we're really betting on Toronto. If you look at some of the best AI advances that have ever happened, they're all here out of Toronto. OpenAI's CTO was out of Toronto. Jeff Hinton famously invented neural nets here in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So that massive pool of artificial intelligence talent is what we're betting on.
Now, that's the past. Do you still think there's a present and a future with it?
So there's a present with some challenges. It's unquestionably true that Canada continues to produce some of the best artificial intelligence talent out there in the world. It's also unquestionably true that we're starting to lose some of the talent wars for the best founders. 50% of Canadian founders that raised more than $1 million of venture capital last year did so while living in the United States. And we'd like to change that.
And how did that change compared to previous years? I mean, I imagine we do see people heading south no matter what, but have you seen a jump?
Yeah, a pretty significant rise, actually. So both anecdotally and in the data, we're seeing year-over-year rise, where increasingly Canadian founders are saying, we need to do this based out of the U.S., where in the past we've got great world-class examples of Canadian founders expanding to the U.S., but doing it from here. And we'd like to help reverse that trend.
Now, is it everything that's going on with the tariffs and everything else with the U.S., and it's just simpler to work out of the U.S., or is it they feel there's a lack of support here in Canada?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So the way I might think about it is tariffs have been an issue, but in software and technology, most of those businesses aren't actually subject to tariffs. Mm-hmm. And so it will have impacts on those businesses. This is more just a trend that has been ongoing for a while. It's been accelerating, and there's kind of two major factors. One is absolutely the lack of capital and support. Only $2.1 billion was raised for venture funds last year in Canada, the lowest number we've had in years. And there's 25 times more venture-backed businesses in the US, up from 11 times in 2015. So unfortunately, this is a trend that's been accelerating, and the current political climate isn't helping.
Now, is the Canadian venture capital, is it going down south, or are they just not putting money forward?
No, the Canadian venture capital continues to invest in this ecosystem. There's just less money to invest in this ecosystem. The housing situation didn't help. We were competing against huge paper gains in housing that a lot of the productive capital was going into in Canada. And so we're just trying to break a trend. And increasingly, the Canadian champions are happening in the US. I don't know what our next Shopify is. And in order for this economy to continue to grow at the pace it needs to, we need more Shopifys.
So it's quite a challenge for you. Then what are you looking for? What are the things, and how do you convince them to stay?
Well, one of the things we're doing to convince them to stay is showing them they can build a winner here. That's what great founders want to do. They want to build international winners. So by surrounding them with best-in-class talent, best-in-class know-how, the exact same things they would get if they were in New York or Silicon Valley, we're hoping we can show them they can stay here, build global winners here, and add more Canadian jobs here.
And how long has the studio been open for, the venture studio? For AI?
Yeah, we're in year 3 right now.
Yeah.
We've managed to build 17 companies here in Toronto, and we're hoping to build another 18 in the next 2 years and then keep going from there.
And what kind of money are we talking about for that?
So for this one, we've raised about $25 million, and we'll be back out on the street hoping to add to that tally.
And what kind of a response have you had from startups?
Really great response. So founders are doing it. Downstream investors are investing in our businesses, both in Canada and the US. We've had some of the biggest venture capital firms in the world invest in some of these businesses and back some of our Canadian founders in some of our builds. And we're hoping to see that trend continue.
And in the 3 years, what are some of the success stories, and have they stayed?
Yeah, so we've got some great successes, some truly world-changing technology around the intersection of artificial intelligence and GLP-1s, around really turning education funding into outcomes. And we are seeing founders stay. I do think the real test will be what happens as they truly start to scale, and can they find that scale talent here? We've always had the technical talent. Are we going to be able to convince people to truly headquarter global champions here? And that's unknown.
And the ones that are staying so far, what are they telling you?
They're telling us that it's all about the talent. And unless they can find the talent, then it's going to be a challenge. The other thing is there is a different tax regime in Canada and the US. And the simple fact is the tax regime in the US is infinitely better for both founders and investors. And so there's more capital there. And at a certain point, the advice they're getting is to move down south.
Because the opportunities are there. With the new prime minister, who's definitely more business oriented, do you have optimism about that changing?
So we are seeing in this new administration some absolute positive signals. They're listening. They understand the problem. The team understands the problem, and they are starting to put the things in place that will help. We do still need a massively updated tax policy that is competitive with what's down south, and we do need a commitment to artificial intelligence specifically. And while we are seeing progress, we need to see more.
And I imagine the schools must be a big factor for you here. What kind of work do you have with them? And are they sending people your way and trying to work with you to keep them here too?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to do a lot of work with the University of Waterloo. I'm lucky enough to do a lot of work with our hospitals, which are another great set of institutions that are churning out AI research. I'm lucky enough to do a lot of work with the University of Toronto. We have the best-in-class institutions, globally recognized. The American firms are poaching from here all the time. Our challenge is turning that world-leading research into commercial outcomes, and that's where Canada's falling down. The universities and hospitals aren't the problem. They're part of the solution set.
Okay, we have to wrap it up there, but Jonah, thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate it. That was Jonah Midanik, Managing Partner of Forum Ventures.